She was just a waitress trying to survive another dinner shift, until she overheard a conversation that would destroy a millionaire's life. One split-second decision to speak up would cost Maya everything: her job, her safety, and eventually, her heart. Because the man she saved didn't just owe her his life, he owed her the truth. But when betrayal has a face you once loved, and revenge runs deeper than anyone imagined, trust becomes the most dangerous gamble of all. What Maya didn't know was that saving Ethan Cole would trap them both in a web of lies, tabloid scandals, and a villain who'd been planning her revenge for decades. Some rescues come with a price, and some love stories start with spilled water and end with everything on the line. Subscribe right now and comment where you're watching from, because this story is about to prove that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust a stranger in a room full of enemies. The dinner rush at Belmont's always felt like controlled chaos. Maya Reed balanced 3 plates on her left arm, while her right hand gripped a pitcher of ice water. The restaurant hummed with conversation, silverware clinking against fine china, and the soft jazz playing through hidden speakers. She'd been waiting tables here for 2 years, long enough to recognize the regulars, long enough to know which customers tipped well and which ones snapped their fingers like she was invisible. Tonight, the energy felt different. Maya glanced toward table 7. A man in an expensive suit sat across from a blonde woman in designer clothes. Even from across the room, Maya could feel the tension crackling between them like static electricity. "More bread for table 3, Rita called from behind her. Rita Dawson had worked at Belmont's for 15 years. She was like a big sister to Maya, always watching out for her, always ready with advice or a joke when the shift got rough. "Got it," Maya said, dropping off her plates at table 5 with a smile before heading to the kitchen. When she returned with the bread basket, she passed close to table 7. The man's voice cut through the ambient noise, sharp and cold. "You're not touching that deal, Chloe. I don't care what your lawyers say." The woman, Chloe, leaned forward. Her red lipstick was perfect. Her smile was not. "Ethan, don't be ridiculous. We built that portfolio together." Maya's feet kept moving, but her mind snagged on something. The way Chloe's eyes glittered, the way her manicured fingers drummed the table. Maya had seen that look before, on her mother's face when she was planning something Maya wouldn't like. She delivered the bread, checked on her other tables, and tried to shake the feeling that something was wrong. 20 minutes later, Maya spotted a man in a dark suit approaching table 7. He wasn't dressed like a server. He moved too deliberately, his eyes scanning the room like he was checking for witnesses. Maya's stomach tightened. She pretended to refill water glasses at the next table, watching from the corner of her eye. The man stopped beside Ethan's chair. He said something too quiet to hear. Chloe smiled wider. Then the man did something that made Maya's blood run cold. While Ethan turned to signal for the check, the man's hand dipped toward the leather briefcase beside Ethan's chair. Quick as a snake, something small and silver flashed in his palm before disappearing into the briefcase's side pocket. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. The man walked away like nothing had happened. Chloe sipped her wine, her expression calm, too calm. Maya's hands trembled as she set down the water pitcher. She knew what she'd just seen. She didn't know why, but she knew it was bad. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "Maya, baby, when something don't feel right, you trust that feeling. Your gut knows things your head hasn't figured out yet." Maya took a breath, then another. She walked toward table 7, her pulse pounding in her ears. Ethan was signing the check. Chloe was gathering her purse. In 30 seconds, they'd be gone, and whatever was in that briefcase would go with them. Maya reached the table. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Excuse me, sir." Ethan looked up. His eyes were gray, storm cloud gray, and tired. "Yes?" Maya leaned down close enough that only he could hear. Her words tumbled out in a rushed whisper. "Stay quiet and do what I say, please. Trust me." His eyebrows shot up. "What?" Maya didn't let him finish. She straightened, stumbled backward on purpose, and tipped her entire water pitcher directly onto the table. Water cascaded everywhere. It soaked the white tablecloth, splashed onto Ethan's suit, and sent Chloe shrieking as cold water hit her designer dress. "Oh my God," Maya gasped, channeling every ounce of convincing horror she could muster. "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." The restaurant went silent. Every head turned. Rita rushed over with towels. "Maya, what happened?" "I tripped." Maya dabbed frantically at the table, at Ethan's jacket, her hands shaking for real now. "I'm so sorry, sir. Your briefcase. Let me dry it off." She grabbed the leather briefcase before anyone could stop her. "Hey!" Chloe stood, water dripping from her dress. "That's private property." Maya ignored her. She carried the briefcase toward the service station, still apologizing, still making a scene. Her fingers fumbled with the side pocket while Rita blocked Chloe's view with her body. There, something small and hard. Maya pulled out a USB drive. It was labeled in neat handwriting, "Final contract." Her stomach dropped. "Security," the manager called, rushing over with two large men in black suits. "What is going on here?" Maya held up the USB drive. Her voice shook. "Someone put this in his briefcase. I saw it happen." Ethan stood, water still dripping from his suit. For the first time since she'd approached him, he really looked at her. His grey eyes narrowed. "What? A man in a dark suit?" Maya said, her words tumbling over each other. "He walked past your table 10 minutes ago. He put this in your briefcase when you weren't looking." Chloe's face went white, then red. "That's absurd. This girl is clearly trying to steal from you, Ethan. She caused this whole scene as a distraction." "Then let's see what's on the drive," Ethan said quietly. The security chief took the USB, his face grim. "We'll need to check this properly, Mr. Cole, and review the security footage." Ethan's gaze stayed locked on Maya. She couldn't read his expression. Anger, confusion, suspicion. "Sir," Maya whispered, "I'm telling the truth." He didn't respond. The next 20 minutes blurred together. The security team escorted them all to a back office. Chloe protested loudly. Ethan said nothing. Maya stood against the wall, her uniform still damp, wondering if she'd just ruined her life over a feeling. Then the security chief returned. His face was stone. "Mr. Cole, we found something on that drive, and the footage confirms. A man matching this waitress's description did approach your table." Chloe's composure cracked. "This is ridiculous. Ethan, you can't possibly believe the drive contains a modified version of your acquisition contract," the security chief continued, "with terms that would have bankrupted your company if you'd signed it." The room went silent. Ethan turned to look at Chloe. Something in his expression made Maya's chest ache. It was betrayal, raw and fresh. "Get out," Ethan said softly. "Ethan, get out." Chloe's heels clicked against the floor as she left, her head held high even as her hands trembled. Assessed word count and plotted narrative progression strategy. I need to continue with the story. I'm at around 2100 words and need to get to around 4000 words for part 1, which should cover chapters 1 to 8 of Act 1. Let me continue with chapter 3 and beyond. When she was gone, Ethan finally turned back to Maya. His expression had shifted, the suspicion replaced by something else. Wonder, maybe, or confusion. "You saved me," he said. Maya's knees felt weak. I saw something wrong." "How did you know what was on that drive?" "I didn't, but I knew it wasn't good." Ethan studied her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Then he nodded once. "Thank you." The manager cleared his throat. "Maya, you can go home now. We'll be in touch." Something in his tone made Maya's stomach sink, but she was too exhausted to fight. She just nodded, grabbed her purse from her locker and walked out into the cool night air. She didn't cry until she got home. The next morning, Maya woke to her phone buzzing. She'd barely slept, replaying the night over and over in her mind. Had she done the right thing? Had she overreacted? The text was from Rita. "Come to the restaurant, now." Maya's heart sank. She threw on jeans and a sweater and caught the bus downtown, dread settling in her stomach like a stone. Belmont's looked different in the morning light, quieter, less magical. Rita met her at the back entrance, her face tight with anger. "Those idiots! What happened?" "They're firing you." The words hit like a slap. "What?" "Mr. Patterson says you disrupted an important client and caused unnecessary drama." Rita spat the words like they tasted bad. "He's covering his own behind because he doesn't want trouble with wealthy customers." Maya's vision blurred. "But I saved him. I stopped." "I know, baby, I know." Rita pulled her into a hug. "You did the right thing, that's what matters." But doing the right thing didn't pay rent. It didn't buy groceries. It didn't fix the fact that Maya had just lost the only job keeping her afloat in this expensive city. Mr. Patterson handed her the final check with barely a word. No apology. No acknowledgement that she'd potentially saved a man's life, or at least his fortune. Maya walked home in a daze. Her small apartment felt smaller than usual. The walls pressed in. She sat on her worn couch and stared at the water stain on the ceiling, trying not to panic about next month's rent. Her mother's photo smiled at her from the bookshelf. "You raised me to do the right thing, Mama," Maya whispered, but sometimes the right thing feels really expensive. The doorbell rang an hour later. Maya wasn't expecting anyone. She checked the peephole and froze. Ethan Cole stood in her hallway, looking distinctly out of place in his expensive coat and polished shoes. He shifted his weight like he wasn't sure he should be there. Maya opened the door slowly. "Mr. Cole." "Ethan," he said, "please." They stared at each other. Up close, Maya could see the circles under his eyes. He hadn't slept either. "Can I come in?" he asked. Maya stepped back, suddenly aware of her threadbare couch and the dishes in her tiny sink. Her apartment was clean but old, nothing like what this man was probably used to. Ethan didn't seem to notice. He stood in the middle of her living room, hands in his pockets. "I heard they fired you. News travels fast." "I'm sorry." Maya crossed her arms. "Why? You didn't fire me." "No, but you lost your job because of me." He pulled an envelope from his coat. "I want to make this right. This should cover—" "I don't want your money." The words came out sharper than Maya intended, but she meant them. She'd grown up watching her mother accept handouts from people who thought money could fix everything. It never did. Ethan lowered the envelope. "Then what do you want?" "My job back. My dignity. An apology from the manager who threw me out like garbage." Maya's voice cracked. "I want people to believe me when I tell the truth." Something shifted in Ethan's expression. "Respect, maybe." He tucked the envelope away. "You're right. You deserve better than money." "Yeah, well." Maya sank onto her couch. Deserving something and getting it are different things. Ethan sat in the chair across from her, uninvited, but not unwelcome. The silence stretched between them. "Can I tell you something?" he said finally. "That drive you found. It would have cost me everything, my company, my reputation, my family's legacy." Chloe knew exactly what she was doing. "Why would she do that?" "Because I broke up with her 6 months ago. Because I wouldn't give her control of my business. Because—" He rubbed his face. "Because some people would rather see you destroyed than admit they're wrong." Maya thought about that. About betrayal and revenge and the ways people hurt each other. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "You saved my life. Don't apologize." Ethan leaned forward. "Look, I can't get you your old job back, but maybe there's another way I can repay you." "I told you I don't want—" "Not money. A job. A real one." Maya blinked. "What?" "I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't afraid to tell me the truth even when it's hard." His gray eyes met hers. "Someone like you. You don't know me. I know you risked your job to warn a stranger. That's more than most people would do." He stood. "Think about it. I'll call you tomorrow." He left his business card on her coffee table and walked out, leaving Maya staring at the embossed letters. Ethan Cole, CEO, Cole Investments. Rita called that night. "Girl, you better take that job." "I don't know if I can work for him." "Why not? He's offering you a way out." "It feels like charity." "It ain't charity if you earn it." Rita's voice softened. "Maya, you're one of the hardest workers I know. You deserve a break. Let this be it." Maya looked at the business card still sitting on her coffee table. She thought about her mother, who'd worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat, who'd taught Maya to be proud but not stubborn. "Okay," Maya whispered. "Okay." Ethan's penthouse made Maya feel like she'd stepped into a magazine. Everything was white or gray or chrome, sleek, cold, beautiful in a way that felt untouchable. "You came," Ethan said when she arrived. He looked genuinely surprised. "I'm here for the trial week," Maya clarified. "After that, we'll see." "Fair enough." He showed her around. The office space, the conference room, the kitchen that looked like it had never been used. Maya tried not to gawk, but it was hard. She'd never seen this much space for one person. "Your main job would be managing my schedule," Ethan explained. "Screening calls, organizing meetings, keeping track of files. It sounds simple, but—" He gestured at the chaos on his desk. Papers everywhere. Sticky notes covering his computer monitor. "As you can see, I need help." Maya rolled up her sleeves. "Then let's get started." By the end of the first day, she'd organized his desk, set up a digital calendar system, and flagged 12 urgent emails he'd missed. Ethan watched her work with something like amazement. "How did you do that so fast?" Maya shrugged. "I waitressed at one of the busiest restaurants in the city. Compared to that, this is easy." That made him smile. It was the first real smile she'd seen from him, and it transformed his whole face, made him look younger, less guarded. "Thank you," he said quietly. A man appeared in the doorway, tall, muscular, with kind eyes. "Boss, your 3 o'clock is—" "Oh." He stopped, noticing Maya. "Who's this?" Tom, this is Maya Reed. She's my new assistant. Maya, this is Tom Jensen, my driver and, well, my friend. Tom's expression was carefully neutral. Nice to meet you. But Maya caught the wariness in his eyes. She understood it. After what happened with Chloe, of course, Ethan's people would be suspicious of anyone new. Nice to meet you too, Maya said, keeping her voice warm. Tom left, but not before giving Ethan a "we'll talk later" look. That night, after Maya had gone home, she heard Ethan's voice through the door she'd accidentally left ajar. He was on the phone, pacing the office. "I can't trust anyone, not after what Chloe did." The words made Maya's chest tighten. She stood frozen in the hallway, torn between leaving and staying. "No, I'm fine, just tired." A pause. "Yeah, the new assistant seems good, competent, but I barely know her." Maya quietly closed the door and left. She understood now what she'd walked into. This wasn't just a job. This was a man trying to rebuild his world after someone he loved had tried to destroy it. And somehow she'd become part of that story. The anonymous emails started on Maya's third day. She was sorting through Ethan's inbox when she found them. No sender name, just a string of numbers. The subject lines were simple. "Watch your back. They're coming. You can't trust anyone." Maya's hands went cold. "Ethan?" He came over, read the emails over her shoulder. His jaw tightened. "Delete them. Shouldn't we report this?" "To who?" "The police. They're just words." But his voice was tight, scared. "Ethan, I said delete them." Maya did, but she took screenshots first. Her instincts were screaming again, the same way they had at the restaurant. 2 days later, Chloe showed up. Maya answered the door to find the blonde woman standing there, perfectly dressed, perfectly composed, but her eyes were hard. "I need to see Ethan. He's in a meeting." "I'll wait." Maya didn't want to let her in, but she also wasn't sure she had the authority to turn her away. She led Chloe to the waiting area, her skin crawling. Chloe sat down, crossing her legs elegantly. She smiled at Maya. "So you're the hero waitress? I'm just his assistant." "For now." Chloe's smile sharpened. "But people like you don't last long in Ethan's world. You don't belong here." Maya's spine straightened. "And you do?" "I built this with him. You're just a charity case he'll get bored of." Before Maya could respond, Ethan emerged from his office. His face went hard when he saw Chloe. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk about the business, Ethan. I still have shares. Your lawyers can talk to my lawyers." "Why are you being like this?" Chloe's voice turned pleading. "We were good together. We built something. Don't throw it away over a misunderstanding." "You tried to destroy me. I was angry. You left me." Her composure cracked. "We can fix this. Just give me another chance." Maya watched Ethan's face. For a moment he looked torn. Then his expression hardened again. "No, we're done. Goodbye, Chloe." Chloe's eyes flashed to Maya, full of venom. Then she stood, smoothing her dress. "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you." She left and the penthouse felt colder. That evening, Maya noticed something odd. Chloe had left her phone on the side table, recording. The red light was barely visible, but it was there. Maya grabbed the phone and showed Ethan. "She was recording you." His face went pale. "That she can't—" "She already did." Maya deleted the recording, then powered off the phone. "She's gathering ammunition, building a case." Ethan sank into a chair. "I can't believe I ever loved her." Maya didn't know what to say to that, so she just sat beside him, close enough to be company, far enough to give him space. They sat in silence until the sun set. The next day, Ethan's car wouldn't stop. Tom was driving them to a meeting across town when he slammed on the brakes. Nothing happened. The car kept rolling toward the intersection. "Brakes aren't working!" Tom shouted. Ethan grabbed the door handle. Maya's heart stopped. Tom yanked the emergency brake and swerved into a parking lot, narrowly missing pedestrians. The car finally stopped, and they all sat there breathing hard. A mechanic confirmed it an hour later. The brake lines had been cut, deliberately. Detective Mills arrived, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She asked questions, took photos, and confirmed it was foul play. "Do you want to press charges, Mr. Cole?" Ethan looked at Maya. She saw fear in his eyes. Real, raw fear. "Not yet," he said quietly. "I need to think." When the detective left, Ethan turned to Maya. His hands were shaking. "You were right. About the emails. About Chloe. About everything." Maya touched his arm gently. "We'll figure this out. I don't know how." "Together," Maya said. "We'll figure it out together." Ethan looked at her, like she'd said something profound, like those simple words had unlocked something in him. Thank you, he whispered. I owe you more than I thought. That night Maya couldn't sleep. She kept seeing the car rolling toward the intersection, kept imagining what could have happened. Someone wanted Ethan dead, or hurt, or scared enough to give them what they wanted, and Maya had put herself right in the middle of it. But when she thought about leaving, about walking away and pretending none of this was her problem, she couldn't do it. Something had shifted. This wasn't just a job anymore. It was personal. The next morning, Ethan knocked on her door early. He looked tired but determined. Pack a bag, he said. We're leaving the city for a few days, somewhere safe. Where? My family's estate, by the lake. He met her eyes. I need to clear my head, and I think we both need a break from all this. Maya thought about saying no, about the risk of getting more involved. Then she thought about his shaking hands, about the fear in his eyes, about her mother's voice saying, when someone needs help, you help them. Okay, Maya said, let's go. The drive out of the city felt like escaping into a different world. Tom drove while Maya sat in the back seat with Ethan, watching skyscrapers give way to trees. The morning sun filtered through leaves, turning gold and red. Ethan stared out the window, his jaw tight. He hadn't said much since they left. How far is it? Maya asked. 2 hours. It's been in my family for 3 generations. His voice softened. My grandfather built the house himself. Maya watched the tension slowly ease from his shoulders as they drove. The farther they got from the city, the more he seemed to breathe. When they finally pulled up to the estate, Maya's breath caught. The house wasn't a mansion. It was smaller than Ethan's penthouse, but it sat right on the edge of a crystal blue lake, surrounded by pine trees. A wooden dock stretched into the water. Everything was peaceful, quiet, beautiful. It's perfect, Maya whispered. Ethan smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Yeah, it is. Tom helped them carry bags inside. The house smelled like cedar and old books. The furniture was comfortable rather than expensive. Photos lined the hallway, family pictures spanning decades. Maya stopped at one. A young Ethan, maybe 12, standing beside an older man with the same grey eyes. Your dad? She asked. Grandfather. Ethan's voice went soft. He died 5 years ago. Left me everything. He looks kind. He was. Ethan touched the frame gently. He would have liked you. The words made Maya's chest warm. Tom cleared his throat. I'm going to check the perimeter, make sure everything's secure. When he left, Ethan showed Maya to the guest room. It had a window overlooking the lake and a quilt that looked handmade. I'll let you settle in, Ethan said. Take your time. But as he turned to leave, Maya noticed another photo in the hallway. Ethan and Chloe, arms wrapped around each other, smiling at the camera. They looked happy, in love. Maya's stomach twisted in a way she didn't want to examine too closely. Ethan saw her looking. His expression shuttered. I should have taken that down. No, it's your house. Your memories. Some memories should stay in the past. He walked away before Maya could respond. She unpacked slowly, trying not to think about that photo, about how perfect Chloe had looked standing beside him, about how Maya was just the waitress who'd stumbled into his life by accident. The next morning, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the smell of something burning. She pulled on jeans and a sweater and followed the smell to the kitchen. Ethan stood at the stove, frowning at a pan of very black eggs. I don't think those are supposed to be that color, Maya said. Ethan jumped, nearly dropping the spatula. I was trying to make breakfast. I can see that. Maya bit back a smile. How about I take over? You don't have to. Ethan, step away from the stove. He did, looking sheepish. Maya found fresh eggs in the fridge and started over while Ethan watched from the doorway. I'm useless at this, he admitted. Everyone's useless at something. You probably know how to do a million things I can't do. Like what? I don't know. Invest money, read financial reports, wear a suit without looking uncomfortable. Maya cracked eggs into the pan. I can barely balance my checkbook. That made him laugh. A real laugh, warm and surprised. You saved my life twice. I think that's worth more than knowing how to read a balance sheet. Maya felt her cheeks heat. She focused on the eggs. They ate breakfast at the small kitchen table, and for the first time since Maya had met him, Ethan seemed relaxed. He talked about growing up, about summers spent at this lake, about learning to fish with his grandfather. What about you? He asked. What was your childhood like? Maya stirred her coffee. Different from yours. We didn't have much money. My mum worked 3 jobs to keep us going. That must have been hard. It was, but she never complained. She'd come home exhausted and still help me with homework, still make sure I felt loved. Maya's throat tightened. She died 3 years ago. Cancer. Ethan's hand covered hers on the table. I'm sorry. Me too. Maya blinked back tears. She taught me to trust my gut. To do the right thing even when it's scary. That's why I... She gestured vaguely. That's why I helped you. I'm glad you did. His hand was still on hers, warm, steady. Maya's heart did something complicated in her chest. Then Ethan's phone rang. The moment broke. He checked the screen and his expression darkened. It's Chloe. Don't answer it. But his finger hovered over the screen. Maya could see the conflict in his face, the part of him that still felt tied to his past. Finally, he powered off the phone. You're right. But his hands were shaking. Maya noticed. She wanted to ask what Chloe still had over him, but the words stuck in her throat. The peace lasted exactly 1 day. Tom burst into the house that evening, his face grim. Boss, we've got a problem. Ethan stood quickly. What? Someone hacked your bank accounts, tried to transfer funds offshore. The color drained from Ethan's face. How much? 2 million. I caught it before it cleared, but Tom's jaw tightened. This was professional. They knew your passwords, your security questions, everything. Ethan started pacing. How is that possible? Chloe, Maya said quietly. She had access to everything when you were together. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. Call Detective Mills. This is enough for charges. Boss, I said call her. Ethan, wait. Maya stood. If we call the police now, this becomes public. Your investors will panic. Your business... I don't care about the business. His voice cracked. I'm tired of being a target. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. I know, but you don't know. He whirled on her, eyes blazing. You don't know what it's like to have someone you love try to destroy you, to wonder if you can ever trust anyone again, to feel like you're going crazy because you can't tell who's real and who's just pretending. The words hung in the air like broken glass. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. You're right. I don't know what that's like, but I'm not pretending. I'm here because I want to help. Ethan's expression crumpled, then hardened again. Just leave me alone, please. Maya nodded, not trusting her voice. She walked to the guest room and locked the door behind her. She cried into the handmade quilt, feeling stupid and small. She should have known this was a mistake, should have kept her distance. Rich men and poor waitresses didn't mix. She'd learned that from every romance novel she'd ever read. But this wasn't a novel. This was real life. And in real life, fairy tales didn't happen. The knock came after midnight. Maya had fallen asleep in her clothes, exhausted from crying. She stumbled to the door, eyes swollen. Ethan stood in the hallway, barefoot, hair messy. He looked wrecked. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Maya wrapped her arms around herself. It's fine. It's not fine. You didn't deserve that. He rubbed his face. I'm scared, Maya, all the time, of making another mistake, of trusting the wrong person again. I understand. Do you? He met her eyes. Because I don't know how to do this. How to let someone in when everyone I've trusted has hurt me. Maya's anger melted. She saw him clearly now, not the confident millionaire, but a man who'd been betrayed by someone he loved. A man who was still bleeding from it. Come on, she said softly. She led him to the living room where embers still glowed in the fireplace. They sat on the floor, backs against the couch, close but not touching. When my mom got sick, Maya said quietly, I was so angry. At God, at the world, at her for leaving me. I pushed everyone away because it hurt less than letting them see me fall apart. Ethan listened without interrupting. But eventually I realized something. Shutting people out didn't protect me. It just made me lonely. She turned to look at him. You don't have to trust me, Ethan. But don't punish yourself by staying alone. I don't know if I remember how to trust anyone. Then start small. Trust that I'm here, right now. That's enough. They sat in silence, watching the fire die down. Slowly, Ethan's hand found hers in the darkness. His fingers laced through hers, tentative but sure. Thank you, he whispered. Maya squeezed his hand. Any time. She thought he might kiss her then. The air felt charged, full of possibility. But instead, Ethan just held her hand and stared at the fire, like he was memorizing the moment. When Maya finally went back to bed, her heart felt lighter and heavier at the same time. The next morning, everything changed again. Maya woke to sunlight and the sound of birds. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memories flooded back. The fight, the apology, Ethan's hand in hers. She found him on the dock, staring at the lake. Hey, she called. He turned and his smile made her heart stutter. Hey, I was thinking, want to go out on the boat? You have a boat? It's old, but it runs. He gestured to a small motorboat tied to the dock. Come on, the lake is perfect in the morning. Maya had never been on a boat before, but she wasn't about to admit that. She climbed in carefully while Ethan untied the ropes and started the engine. The boat cut through the water, cool spray hitting Maya's face. She laughed, pure and surprised. The stress of the past week fell away with each ripple they left behind. "This is amazing," she shouted over the engine. Ethan grinned. "I know." He killed the engine in the middle of the lake. The silence was profound, just water lapping against the boat and wind in the trees. "It's so peaceful," Maya breathed. "Yeah." Ethan moved to sit beside her. "This is where I come when the world gets too loud. Thank you for bringing me here. Thank you for coming." He paused. "Do you want to try steering?" "Me? Why not?" Ethan showed her how to hold the wheel, how to gauge the throttle. His hands covered hers, guiding her. Maya was acutely aware of his warmth, his chest against her back, his breath on her neck. "You're a natural," he murmured. Maya's pulse raced. "I have a good teacher." They stayed out on the water for hours, talking about everything and nothing. Ethan told her about his first business deal. Maya told him about the time she accidentally served a food critic spaghetti she'd dropped on the floor. They laughed until their sides hurt. When they finally headed back, Ethan's hand brushed hers on the wheel. "Maya?" His voice was soft. "Yeah? You make it feel safe again. Being around someone, trusting someone." He turned her to face him. "I haven't felt that in a long time." Maya's breath caught. His grey eyes held hers, full of something she was afraid to name. "Ethan!" But then Tom appeared on the dock, waving urgently. The moment shattered. That evening, Maya was digging through a closet, looking for extra blankets when she found the files. They were old, yellowed with age, stuffed in a banker's box. She almost ignored them, but something made her look closer. The name on the folder made her blood run cold. Harper Enterprises versus Cole Investments, 1998. Harper. Chloe's last name. Maya's hands shook as she opened the file. Inside were legal documents, newspaper clippings, and a handwritten letter from Ethan's grandfather. She read it twice, her heart pounding. Chloe's father had tried to con Ethan's grandfather out of his company 25 years ago. The scam had failed, but barely. The court case had nearly bankrupted both families. This wasn't just about a bad breakup. This was generational. Chloe's revenge was completing what her father had started. Maya found Ethan in his office, staring at his laptop. "I found something," she said. When she showed him the files, his face went white, then red. He read the letter from his grandfather 3 times. "She knew," he whispered. "This whole time, she knew what her family did to mine. I'm sorry." Ethan stood abruptly and pulled Maya into a hug. She froze, surprised, then slowly wrapped her arms around him. "Thank you," he said into her hair, "for being brave enough to show me the truth, for not being afraid to dig." Maya felt his heartbeat against her cheek. "That's what I'm here for." When they pulled apart, his hands stayed on her shoulders. His eyes searched her face like he was looking for something. "You're remarkable," he said softly. "You know that?" Maya's cheeks burned. "I'm just doing my job." "No, you're doing more than that. He hesitated. "You're being a friend." The word friend shouldn't have hurt, but it did, just a little. Tom and Rita arrived the next day for lunch. Rita wrapped Maya in a bear hug that lifted her off the ground. "Look at you," Rita laughed. "Living in a lake house with a handsome millionaire. If that ain't a romance novel, I don't know what is." "Rita," Maya hissed, glancing at Ethan. But Ethan just smiled. "She's not wrong. This place does look like a book cover." They ate lunch on the back patio, sandwiches and lemonade and Rita's famous potato salad. The conversation flowed easily. Tom told embarrassing stories about Ethan's failed attempts at cooking. Rita regaled them with tales from the restaurant. Maya watched Ethan laugh, really laugh, and felt something expand in her chest. He looked younger here, lighter, like the weight he carried everywhere had finally been set down. After lunch, Ethan disappeared into the house. He returned carrying a small blue box. "This is for you," he said, handing it to Maya. She opened it carefully. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with a tiny compass charm. "For saving my life twice," Ethan explained, "and for helping me find my way when I was lost." Maya's vision blurred. "Ethan, I can't—" "Please, let me say thank you properly." Rita elbowed Tom. "This is our cue to check out that boat you mentioned." They disappeared, leaving Maya and Ethan alone on the patio. "It's beautiful," Maya whispered, touching the compass. "Thank you." Ethan fastened it around her wrist. His fingers lingered on her pulse point. "It looks perfect on you." The afternoon sun painted everything golden. Birds sang in the trees. The lake sparkled like it was full of diamonds. Maya looked up at Ethan, and something in his expression made her breath stop. "Maya," he said softly, "can I—" He didn't finish the question. He just leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. The kiss was gentle, tentative, like he was afraid she might disappear if he held on too tight. Maya's hands came up to his chest, feeling his heart race under her palms. When they pulled apart, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," he admitted. Maya smiled. "Me too." They stayed like that until the sun set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Tom and Rita returned, smiling knowingly but saying nothing. That night Maya touched the bracelet on her wrist and let herself believe in fairy tales again. The tabloids hit the next morning. Maya woke to her phone exploding with notifications, text after text from numbers she didn't recognize. Her social media flooded with tags and comments. She opened one link and felt the world tilt. "Waitress seduces millionaire, career move or true love?" The photo showed Maya and Ethan kissing on the patio. Whoever took it had used a telephoto lens. The angle made it look staged, calculated. Maya's stomach turned as she read the article. It painted her as a gold digger, a manipulator who'd faked saving Ethan's life to get close to him. It dug up her past, her mother's medical debts, her fired waitressing job, her small apartment. Sources close to Cole suggest the struggling waitress saw an opportunity and took it. "She's very calculated," one insider claims. "She knew exactly what she was doing." The insider was obviously Chloe. Maya's hands shook as she scrolled through comment after comment. People called her names, questioned her motives, dissected her appearance, her clothes, her worth. A knock on her door made her jump. "Maya?" Ethan's voice. "Have you seen—" "I saw." She opened the door. Tears streaked her face. "Ethan, I never—" "I know." But his face was pale, his jaw tight. "My investors are calling. The board wants an emergency meeting. This is—" He ran his hands through his hair. "This is bad. What do we do?" "I don't know. I need to think." Over the next few hours, Maya watched Ethan take call after call. Each one made his expression harder, more distant. She heard snippets. "Yes, I understand your concerns. No, there's nothing inappropriate. I'll handle it." By evening, he still hadn't looked at her. "Ethan," Maya tried, "talk to me." "Not now, Maya, please." But she pushed. "This is what Chloe wanted. She's trying to drive us apart." "I know that," his voice cracked. "But my company is on the line. Everything my grandfather built, and I'm the problem." Maya's voice went flat. "That's what you're saying?" "I'm saying I need time to fix this. By pushing me away? By making it look like I meant nothing? Maya—" "No." She stood, grabbing her bag. "I get it. I'm not worth the risk. The waitress who thought she could play in your world. That's not what I think." "Isn't it?" Maya's voice broke. "Because you're choosing them over me. Your image, your business, your world." She touched the bracelet on her wrist. "You said this was for saving your life, but I guess some lives are worth more than others. Don't do this." "I'm not doing anything. You are." Maya walked to the door. "I'll pack my things." "Maya, wait." But she was already gone, tears streaming down her face. She heard him call after her, but she didn't stop. Tom drove her back to the city in silence. When he dropped her off at her apartment, he finally spoke. "He's scared, making stupid decisions, but he cares about you." "Not enough," Maya whispered. She went inside, closed the door, and let herself break. On the empty patio at the lake house, Ethan stared at the spot where they'd kissed. At the golden sunset fading to darkness. At the bracelet box he'd saved, thinking he might give her another. He picked up his phone a dozen times, put it down a dozen times. When he finally checked his messages, he found one from Maya, sent hours ago. "I forgive you, but I can't stay where I'm not trusted. Take care of yourself, Ethan." He sank to the ground, the phone clutched in his hand, and realized too late what he'd just lost. 2 days passed, like years. Maya spent them in her apartment, ignoring her phone. Rita called 17 times. Tom called twice. Even numbers she didn't recognize tried to reach her. She didn't answer any of them. Instead, she sat on her couch, staring at the water stain on her ceiling, feeling numb. The bracelet still hung on her wrist. She'd tried to take it off 100 times, couldn't make herself do it. The tabloid photos had spread everywhere. Her face was all over the internet. Strangers debated her intentions, her character, her worth. Someone had found her old yearbook photo, and posted it with the caption, "Already looking for her meal ticket in high school." Maya had stopped reading after that. Her phone buzzed again. Rita. Again. This time Maya answered. "It's about damn time," Rita said. "I'm outside your door. Let me in." Maya hung up and opened the door. Rita stood there with a bag of Chinese takeout and a look that said she wouldn't take no for an answer. "You look terrible," Rita said, pushing past her. "Thanks. I'm serious, Maya. When's the last time you ate?" Maya couldn't remember. Rita started unpacking containers, moving around Maya's small kitchen like she owned it. "I'm not hungry," Maya said. "Don't care. Sit down and eat." They sat at Maya's tiny table. Rita filled a plate and pushed it toward her. For a few minutes, they ate in silence. "Those tabloids are garbage," Rita said finally. "Everyone who knows you knows the truth, but everyone else believes the lies." "So?" Rita set down her fork. "Baby, you can't control what strangers think. You can only control what you know about yourself. I know I was stupid. I knew better than to fall for someone like him." "Someone like what? Kind? Generous? Someone who looks at you like you hung the moon?" Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Someone who chose his reputation over me." Rita reached across the table and grabbed Maya's hand. "He made a mistake. A big one. But that boy is hurting just as bad as you are." "How do you know?" "Because Tom called me. Said Ethan hasn't left his penthouse in 2 days. Won't eat. Won't sleep. Just sits there staring at his phone like he's waiting for something." Maya's chest ached. She hated that she still cared. Hated that knowing he was hurting made her want to comfort him. "He made his choice," Maya said quietly. "Did he? Or did he just get scared?" Rita squeezed her hand. "Listen to me. That man was betrayed by someone he loved. That kind of hurt doesn't heal fast. When you showed up, you scared him, because you were real, and real things can hurt worse than fake ones. So I'm supposed to what? Go back and wait for him to hurt me again? I'm saying love deserves a second risk if you think it's real." Rita stood, gathering the empty containers. "But that's your choice, baby. Nobody can make it for you." After Rita left, Maya lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mother's photo smiled at her from the nightstand. "What would you do, Mama?" Maya whispered, but she already knew. Her mother had believed in second chances, in forgiveness, in fighting for what mattered. Maya touched the compass charm on her bracelet. Finding your way when you're lost. Maybe they were both still lost. Maybe that was okay. Ethan sat in his penthouse office, surrounded by papers he couldn't focus on. The city stretched out below him. Millions of lights, millions of people, and he'd never felt more alone. His phone sat on the desk. Maya's message still open. He'd read it so many times he had it memorized. "I forgive you, but I can't stay where I'm not trusted." The door opened. Tom walked in without knocking. "You look like hell," Tom said. "Thanks for the update." "Boss, we need to talk." "Not now." "Yes, now." Tom sat down across from him. "You're making the same mistake you made with Chloe." Ethan's head snapped up. "Excuse me?" "You're letting fear make your decisions. With Chloe, you ignored all the red flags because you were afraid of being alone. Now with Maya, you're pushing away someone good because you're afraid of being hurt." "That's not—" "You believed the wrong woman again," Tom interrupted. "Except this time, you believed Chloe over Maya. You let public opinion and investor panic convince you to throw away something real." The words hit like a punch. Ethan's hands clenched on the desk. "I was trying to protect my company, everything my grandfather built." "Your grandfather built that company on integrity, on trust, on valuing people over profit." Tom leaned forward. "What do you think he'd say about you sacrificing a good woman to save your reputation?" Ethan's throat closed. He knew exactly what his grandfather would say. Could almost hear his voice. "Money comes and goes, son, but character, that's forever." "I messed up," Ethan whispered. "Yeah, you did." Tom stood. "Question is, what are you going to do about it?" After Tom left, Ethan sat in the darkness, thinking about Maya's courage, about how she'd risked everything to save him twice without asking for anything in return, about the way she'd looked at him on the patio, right before he'd kissed her, about the bracelet he'd given her and the message it carried, "Find your way when you're lost." He was lost, but maybe he could still find his way back. Ethan opened his laptop and started digging through files. Chloe's digital footprint, email records, bank statements. If she'd orchestrated the tabloid leak, and he knew she had, there would be proof. He worked through the night, following digital breadcrumbs. By dawn, he had it. Email exchanges between Chloe and the photographer. Payment records for the anonymous sources. A paper trail showing she'd hired someone to hack his accounts, cut his brake lines, send the threatening messages. All of it. Every single betrayal. Documented and time-stamped. Ethan picked up his phone with shaking hands. Detective Mills, I have proof, all of it. Maya returned to Belmont's that afternoon. Not to work, she'd never work there again, but to see Rita one more time before making a decision. The lunch rush was winding down. The familiar chaos felt foreign now, like visiting a place you used to call home. Rita spotted her and waved her back to the break room. Thought you might come by, Rita said. Mr. Patterson offered me my job back. Maya's voice was flat. Said the misunderstanding had blown over. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. Maya sat down heavily. I don't know what to do, Rita. I need money, need a job, but going back to waiting tables after everything that happened feels like giving up. Yeah. Rita was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled out her phone and showed Maya something. A job listing. Assistant manager at a new cafe opening across town. Good pay, benefits, room to grow. I know the owner, Rita said. Told her about you. She wants to meet you. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Rita, you don't have to go backward, baby. Sometimes life pushes you forward, even when it hurts. Maya hugged her friend tight, grateful beyond words. She was leaving through the front when she saw them. News vans, cameras, reporters crowding the sidewalk outside Belmont's. Her stomach dropped. They'd found her. Maya turned to bolt out the back, but then she heard it. Ethan's voice, cutting through the chaos. Conclusive evidence that Chloe Harper orchestrated everything. Maya froze. She pushed through the kitchen to the front window. Ethan stood on the sidewalk, surrounded by cameras, holding a folder of documents. Tom stood beside him. Detective Mills was there too. Ms. Harper hired someone to plant falsified documents in my briefcase, Ethan continued, his voice steady. She hired someone to tamper with my vehicle. She manipulated photos and paid for tabloid coverage designed to destroy an innocent woman's reputation. A reporter shouted, "What about your relationship with Maya Reed? Was that real or—" Maya Reed saved my life, Ethan said firmly. She did it without asking for anything, without wanting recognition. She did it because she saw someone in trouble and chose to help. His voice cracked slightly. And I repaid her courage by doubting her, by choosing fear over trust. Maya's hand covered her mouth. I'm here to set the record straight, Ethan continued. Maya is not a gold digger. She's not a manipulator. She's one of the bravest, most honest people I've ever met. And if she never forgives me for how I treated her, I'll understand. But the world needs to know the truth. Another reporter. Where is Miss Harper now? Detective Mills stepped forward. Miss Harper has been arrested on multiple charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and attempted sabotage. The evidence Mr. Cole provided is substantial. The cameras went wild. Questions flew, but Maya only heard the pounding of her own heart. Ethan's eyes swept the crowd like he was looking for someone, for her. Rita appeared beside Maya. Well, you going to stand here watching or you going to go out there? Maya's feet moved before her brain caught up. She pushed through the restaurant door and onto the sidewalk. The reporters spotted her immediately. Cameras swung in her direction. Questions bombarded her from all sides. But Maya only saw Ethan. Their eyes met across the chaos. For a moment, everything else fell away. Then Ethan was moving toward her, the crowd parting. He stopped a few feet away like he was afraid to get too close. Hi, he said softly. Hi, I'm sorry. For everything. For not trusting you. For letting fear make me stupid. He gestured at the cameras, the reporters. I know a public apology doesn't fix what I did, but I wanted everyone to know the truth about you, about us. Us? Maya's voice trembled. If there still is an us, if you'll give me another chance. Ethan took a step closer. I love you, Maya. I think I have since you spilled water all over me and saved my life. I was just too scared to admit it. Maya's vision blurred. You love me? Yeah, I really do. A reporter shouted, Ms. Reed, what do you say to— Could everyone just shut up for a minute? Maya said loudly. Shocked silence fell, then nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. Maya looked at Ethan, at his grey eyes, full of hope and fear and love, at the man who'd made a terrible mistake but had come back to make it right. I love you too, she said, even though you're an idiot sometimes. Ethan laughed, the sound breaking with relief. I can live with that, but I need you to understand something. Maya stepped closer. I'm not here to be saved. I'm not your redemption story. If we do this, we do it as equals, partners. Partners, Ethan agreed immediately. Equals. Whatever you need. What I need is for you to trust me, even when it's scary, even when people talk, even when it's hard. I will. I promise. Maya studied his face, searching for doubt. Found none. Okay, she said softly. Then let's try this again. Ethan closed the distance between them and kissed her right there on the sidewalk, in front of cameras and reporters and half of downtown. Maya kissed him back, not caring who saw or what they thought. When they pulled apart, the crowd erupted. Some cheered, some snapped photos, but Maya didn't care about any of that. She only cared about the man holding her like she was precious, like she was his whole world. Come on, Ethan murmured. Let's get out of here. Tom had the car ready. They climbed in, leaving the chaos behind, and Maya felt like she could finally breathe again. Where are we going? She asked. Ethan laced his fingers through hers. Wherever you want. Your choice. Maya thought about it, about her small apartment, about the lake house, about all the places they could go. How about somewhere new? She said. A fresh start. Ethan smiled. I like the sound of that. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in the middle of an empty storefront, imagining. The space was small but perfect. Big windows, exposed brick, a view of a tree-lined street where people actually walked and talked and lived. What do you think? The real estate agent asked. Maya turned to Ethan, who stood near the door, hands in his pockets. They'd agreed this was her decision, her dream. It's perfect, Maya said. The lease was signed that afternoon. Maya Reed's cafe, her own place, her own dream. Ethan had offered to finance the whole thing. Maya had refused. They'd compromised. He'd be a silent investor, but she'd own 51%. Her name on the deed, her vision leading the way. They spent the next month transforming the space. Maya picked every detail. The warm yellow walls, the mismatched vintage chairs, the chalkboard menu. Ethan helped with the heavy lifting, taking orders from her with a smile. Rita signed on as manager. Tom became their unofficial taste tester. Even Detective Mills stopped by to see the progress. The day before the grand opening, Maya stood in the cafe at sunset, looking at everything they'd built. Ethan wrapped his arms around her from behind. Nervous? Terrified. You're going to be amazing. Maya turned in his arms. We're going to be amazing. Yeah, he said softly. We are. Opening day was chaos. The cafe filled with customers, some curious about the tabloid romance, but most just wanting good coffee and a friendly smile. Maya worked the counter while Rita managed the floor. By closing time, they were exhausted and exhilarated. We did it, Maya breathed, collapsing into a chair. Ethan brought her coffee. You did it. I just watched. You did more than watch. Maya squeezed his hand. You believed in me. Always will. That night, they drove out to the lake. The house sat quiet under stars, waiting for them. They walked down to the dock where everything had changed months before. The water reflected the moon like a mirror. I've been thinking, Ethan said. Dangerous. He laughed. I want to sell the penthouse. Move out here full-time. Maya looked at him, surprised. Really? The city feels empty now. But here, he gestured at the lake, the trees, the peace. Here feels like home, especially with you. What about your company? I can work from anywhere. Technology is amazing. He turned to face her. But I want to simplify. Focus on what matters. I've spent my whole life building an empire, and I almost lost everything that mattered because of it. Maya touched his face gently. You didn't lose it. We're right here. I know, and I'm never taking that for granted again. They sat on the dock, feet dangling over the water, talking about the future. About dreams and plans and all the ways their lives had changed. Remember that first night, Maya said, when I spilled water all over you? How could I forget? You looked terrified. I was. I thought you'd have me fired on the spot. Instead, you saved my life. Ethan kissed her temple. Best water spill ever. Maya laughed. Your grandfather would have liked this story. He would have loved you. Would have said I was lucky you were brave enough for both of us. I wasn't brave. I was just doing what felt right. That's what bravery is. Ethan pulled her closer. Doing what's right even when you're scared. They watched the stars come out one by one, filling the sky with light. Thank you, Ethan said quietly. For what? For not giving up on me. For seeing something worth saving. Maya rested her head on his shoulder. Thank you for letting yourself be saved. The compass charm on her bracelet caught the moonlight, finding your way when you're lost. They'd both been lost, both been scared, both been broken by betrayal and doubt, but somehow they'd found each other, and in finding each other, they'd found their way home. 6 months later, Maya's cafe was thriving. She'd hired 3 more people, expanded the menu, started a community board where locals posted jobs and events and messages of hope. The cafe became more than a business. It became a gathering place, a safe space, the kind of place her mother would have loved. Ethan had indeed sold the penthouse and moved to the lake house. He'd downsized his company, focusing on ethical investments and mentoring young entrepreneurs. He looked happier than Maya had ever seen him. They still had hard days, days when old fears crept back in, when trust felt fragile, when the weight of their pasts pressed down, but they'd learned to talk through it, to choose each other, even when it was hard, especially when it was hard. One evening, they sat on the back patio of the lake house watching the sun set over the water. Maya was planning the cafe's first anniversary party. Ethan was reviewing a proposal from a young inventor who needed funding. "This kid's brilliant," Ethan said, showing Maya the plans. "Reminds me of your courage, taking a risk on something that matters. You should invest." "I think I will." They worked in comfortable silence until the stars came out. Then Ethan set down his papers and turned to Maya. "I have something for you." "Another bracelet?" Maya teased. "Better." He pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's heart stopped. "Ethan, wait. Before you panic, just listen." He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold ring with a tiny diamond. "I'm not asking you to marry me, not yet. I know we're still figuring things out, but I wanted you to have this as a promise." "A promise of what?" "That I'll always choose you, always trust you, always fight for us even when I'm scared." His voice was steady. "Sure. That you're not alone in this. Whatever comes, we face it together." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Ethan, you don't have to wear it. You can put it in a drawer. I just wanted you to know where I stand, where my heart is." He took her hand. "It's with you, Maya. Always." Maya looked at the ring, at this man who'd learned to be vulnerable, who'd chosen love over fear, who'd become her partner in every sense of the word. "Put it on," she whispered. Ethan's hands shook as he slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "I love you," Maya said, "and I promise too, to choose you, to trust you, to build a life together." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, Maya looked at the ring catching starlight, at the compass bracelet still on her wrist, at the man beside her who'd become her home. "You told me to stay quiet that first night," Ethan said. "Best advice anyone ever gave me." Maya laughed. "You didn't listen very well after that." "No, and I'm glad I didn't." They sat on the patio as night deepened, talking about dreams and plans and the future they'd build together. A future built on trust and honesty and the kind of love that transforms people. Maya thought about her mother, about courage and second chances, about how sometimes the right thing is also the scary thing. She'd been scared that night at Belmont's, scared when she'd warned Ethan, scared when she'd fallen in love with him. But fear hadn't stopped her, and it never would, because some things were worth the risk. Some people were worth fighting for, and love, real, honest, hard-won love, was worth everything. The lake reflected stars like diamonds. The night air smelled like pine and possibility. And Maya Reed, who'd once been just a waitress trying to survive, sat beside the man she loved and felt, for the first time in her life, like she was exactly where she belonged, home. The cafe's first anniversary party was Maya's idea, but it became everyone's celebration. She spent weeks planning, wanting everything to be perfect, not fancy, just warm and welcoming, the way the cafe had always been. String lights, homemade cake, music from a local guitarist who'd been playing on the corner when Maya first found the space. "You're going to wear yourself out," Ethan said, watching her rearrange chairs for the third time. "I want it to be special. It will be, because you made it." He caught her hand, pulling her away from the chairs. "Come here." Maya let him wrap his arms around her. She breathed in his familiar scent, coffee and cedar and home. "Nervous?" he asked. "A little. What if nobody comes? Then it'll be the best party for just us." He kissed her forehead. "But they'll come. This place means something to people." He was right. The cafe had become a cornerstone of the neighborhood, a place where seniors came for morning coffee and conversation, where students studied for exams, where young parents met for playdates, where lonely people found community. Maya had built something bigger than a business. She'd built a home for others. The day of the party dawned bright and clear. Rita arrived early, arms full of decorations Maya hadn't asked for but needed anyway. "You think I'd let you do this alone?" Rita said, shooing Maya toward the kitchen. "Go make your famous cinnamon rolls. I'll handle the decorating." Tom showed up an hour later with folding tables borrowed from his church. Detective Mills came with her wife, carrying a beautiful flower arrangement. Even Mr. Patterson from Belmont's appeared, looking sheepish. "I owe you an apology," he said to Maya. "A real one. What I did, firing you, that was wrong. You deserved better." Maya could have held a grudge, could have turned him away, but she'd learned that holding on to anger only hurt the person carrying it. "Thank you," she said simply. "That means a lot." He nodded, relieved, and joined the growing crowd. By noon, the cafe overflowed with people. Neighbors Maya had served coffee to every morning, customers who'd become friends. People whose lives had been touched by her kindness and her courage. Maya stood behind the counter, overwhelmed by gratitude. A year ago she'd lost everything. Her job, her security, her sense of safety. Now she had this, all of this. Ethan appeared beside her, sliding a glass of lemonade into her hand. "You okay?" "Better than okay." She squeezed his hand. "Thank you for believing in me. You did this, Maya. All I did was watch you be brilliant." The guitarist started playing and people began to dance. Rita pulled Tom onto the makeshift dance floor, both of them laughing. Children ran between tables, their joy infectious. Maya watched it all, her heart so full it ached. "Dance with me," Ethan said. They swayed together to the music, not caring that half the neighborhood was watching. Let them look. Let them see what real love looked like. Messy and imperfect and absolutely worth fighting for. "I have something to tell you," Ethan murmured against her hair. "Good something or bad something?" "Good, I think." He pulled back to look at her. "I've been working on a project, a foundation actually, to help young entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds get startup funding." Maya's eyes widened. "Ethan, that's amazing. I'm calling it the Reed Foundation. After you." "After me?" "You inspired it. Your courage, your integrity, the way you built something from nothing." His grey eyes were soft. "I want to help other people have the same chance you took. I want to invest in people the way you invested in yourself." Maya's vision blurred with tears. "I don't know what to say. Say you'll help me run it. Be the face of it. Show people what's possible when someone believes in them." "Yes," Maya whispered. "Of course, yes." They kissed, right there in the middle of the party, and the crowd cheered. That evening, after the last guest left and the cleanup was done, Maya and Ethan drove to the lake. The house waited for them, warm lights glowing in the windows. They'd made it their own over the past months. Maya's touches everywhere, plants on the windowsills, her mother's quilt on the bed, photos of their life together lining the hallway. It wasn't just Ethan's family home anymore. It was theirs. They walked down to the dock, a bottle of wine and 2 glasses in hand. The water was calm tonight, reflecting the emerging stars like a mirror. "To 1 year," Ethan said, pouring the wine. "To many more," Maya added. They clinked glasses and drank, the wine sweet on her tongue. "Can I tell you something?" Maya said after a while. "Always. When I first met you, I thought you lived in a different world, a world I could never be part of." She turned the promise ring on her finger, watching it catch the light. "I thought the gap between us was too big. Money, class, experience, all of it. And now? Now I know there was never a gap. Just fear. Mine and yours." She met his eyes. "We're not from different worlds, Ethan. We're from the same one. We just had to find each other in it." Ethan's throat worked. "You make it sound simple." "It is simple. Not easy, but simple." Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. "Love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other. Every single day. Even on the hard days. Especially on the hard days." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the water lap against the dock. An owl hooted in the distance. The night smelled like pine and possibility. "Do you ever think about that first night?" Ethan asked. "At Belmont's. All the time. What would you do differently?" Maya considered it. "Nothing. Even knowing how hard it would be, even knowing the pain we'd go through." She turned to look at him. "I'd still spill that water. I'd still save you." "Why?" "Because some things are worth the risk. Some people are worth fighting for." She touched his face gently. "You taught me that, actually." "I taught you?" "You came back. After everything. After hurting me. After choosing fear. You came back. You fought for us." Maya's voice thickened. "That showed me what real courage looks like. Not never being scared, but being scared and choosing love anyway." Ethan pulled her close, and they sat like that as darkness deepened. Stars filled the sky, thousands of them painting light across the void. "I need to tell you something too," Ethan said quietly. Maya waited, patient. "For years after Chloe, I told myself I'd never trust anyone again, never be vulnerable, never risk getting hurt. He paused, gathering courage. I built walls so high I couldn't see over them, convinced myself I was protecting myself, when really I was just alone. I know, but you didn't let me stay behind those walls. You pushed and challenged and refused to let me hide. He turned to face her fully. You saved my life that night at the restaurant, but you saved me again every day after, just by being you, by showing me what real trust looks like. Maya's tears spilled over. Ethan, I'm not done. He wiped her cheeks gently. I want to spend the rest of my life choosing you, trusting you, building a life with you. He took a shaky breath. I know I already gave you a promise ring, but I'm ready to make a bigger promise now. Maya's heart stopped. Ethan reached into his pocket and pulled out a different box, a smaller one. When he opened it, a simple diamond ring caught the starlight. Maya Reed, will you marry me? The world went still. The water, the trees, everything held its breath. Yes, Maya whispered. Then louder, yes, yes, of course yes. Ethan's hands shook as he slid the ring onto her finger, right beside the promise ring. It fit perfectly, like it had always belonged there. They kissed under the stars and Maya felt like she was floating. This was real, this love, this life, this man, all of it real and solid and hers. I love you, she said against his lips. I love you too, so much. They stayed on the dock until late, talking about everything and nothing, about wedding plans and the foundation and whether they wanted kids someday, about dreams and fears and all the beautiful mundane details of building a life together. My mum would have loved you, Maya said at one point. Yeah? She always told me to find someone who made me braver, someone who saw my worth, even when I didn't. Maya smiled through fresh tears. That's you, Ethan. You make me believe I can do anything. Because you can. You're the strongest person I know. We're strong together, Maya corrected. That's what matters. As they finally walked back to the house, hand in hand, Maya thought about the journey that had brought them here, the fear and pain and mistakes, the growth and forgiveness and hard-won trust. None of it had been easy, but all of it had been worth it. 3 months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon, Maya and Ethan stood on that same dock and said their vows. It was a small ceremony. Rita and Tom as their witnesses, Detective Mills and her wife, the cafe's regular customers, people who'd been part of their story. Maya wore a simple white dress, her mother's pearls around her neck. Ethan wore a suit but had abandoned the tie, Maya's request, because she loved the way he looked casual and comfortable. Ready? Rita asked, squeezing Maya's hand. So ready. They walked down the dock together, no one giving her away because Maya gave herself. She'd always belonged to herself. Now she was choosing to share that self with someone else. Ethan waited at the end of the dock, and when he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. Good tears, happy tears. The ceremony was brief. They'd written their own vows, promising to choose each other, to trust each other, to be brave together. I promise to spill water on you whenever you need saving, Maya said, making everyone laugh. I promise to always trust your instincts, Ethan replied, even when they scare me. When they kissed, the small crowd erupted in cheers. Birds took flight from nearby trees, startled by the noise. The lake sparkled in the afternoon sun, like it was celebrating too. At the reception, held at the cafe naturally, Rita gave a speech that made everyone cry. Maya came to work at Belmont's, a scared young woman who'd just lost her mama. She was broke and alone and trying so hard to be brave. Rita's voice wavered. But she didn't just survive. She thrived. She saved a man's life, started a business, built a community, and found love that was worth fighting for. Rita raised her glass. To Maya and Ethan, may your love continue to be brave, honest, and absolutely worth the risk. To Maya and Ethan, everyone echoed. Tom's speech was shorter, but no less meaningful. Boss, you were a mess when I met Maya. Now look at you, happy, healthy, human again. That's what love does. It brings us back to life. He turned to Maya. And you didn't just save him once. You keep saving him every day just by being who you are. Thank you for that. As the party continued, Maya found herself standing alone for a moment, watching everyone dance and laugh. Her cafe, her community, her family. Ethan appeared beside her, sliding an arm around her waist. What are you thinking about? How different my life is from a year ago. How scared I was back then. Still scared now? Maya considered it. Sometimes. But it's different now. Now I'm scared with you beside me. And that makes all the difference. Yeah, Ethan agreed softly. It really does. They danced until late, And when they finally left for their honeymoon, a week at the lake house, nowhere fancy, just them, Maya felt complete. The first morning of their married life, Maya woke to sunshine streaming through the windows and Ethan's arms around her. She lay still for a moment, memorizing the feeling. This was what happiness felt like, not the excited, temporary kind, the deep, lasting kind, the kind built on trust and honesty, and choosing each other every single day. "You're awake," Ethan murmured, his voice rough with sleep. Couldn't sleep anymore. Too happy. He chuckled and pulled her closer. Too happy. What a problem to have. They made breakfast together. Ethan had gotten better at cooking, though Maya still supervised, and ate on the back patio. The lake was calm this morning, mist rising off the surface like something magical. "Tell me something," Maya said. "Something I don't know about you." Ethan thought about it. "I used to be terrified of water." "Really, but you have a boat." "My grandfather taught me to swim here. I was 8 and convinced I'd drown. He was so patient. Just kept showing up every day, helping me trust the water." Ethan stared at the lake. "He taught me that fear is just a feeling. It doesn't have to control you." "Smart man." "He was. I wish you could have met him. I feel like I know him through you." Maya squeezed his hand. "He raised someone pretty amazing. Takes one to know one." They spent the day doing nothing and everything, reading on the patio, swimming in the lake, making love in the afternoon sunshine, talking about dreams and plans and the life they'd build together. "I want kids someday," Maya said as they floated in the water. "Is that okay?" "More than okay. I want that too. And I want to expand the cafe. Maybe open a second location, somewhere else that needs community. I'll support whatever you want to do. The foundation too. I want to help other people the way you helped me." Ethan pulled her close in the water. "We'll do all of it. Together." That night, they sat on the dock again. Their place. The spot where everything had changed. Stars filled the sky, so many it seemed impossible. "You told me to stay quiet that first night," Ethan said, echoing words from months ago. "I'm glad I didn't listen after that." Maya laughed. "Me too. But I'm glad I listened in that moment, that I trusted you even though I didn't know you, even though it was scary." "That's what trust is," Maya said softly. "Believing in someone, even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. You've taught me so much about that. We taught each other." She turned to face him, taking both his hands. "You taught me I'm worth fighting for. That love doesn't have to hurt. That vulnerability isn't weakness. And you taught me that walls don't protect you. They just make you alone. That real strength is letting someone see all of you, even the broken parts." They sat in comfortable silence, hands clasped, listening to the night sounds. An owl hooted. Water lapped against the dock. Somewhere in the distance, a loon called to its mate. "Thank you," Maya whispered. "For what?" "For coming back. For choosing me. For building this life with me." She touched his face gently. "For showing me what real love looks like." Ethan's eyes glistened. "Thank you for being brave enough to save me. For not giving up when I made mistakes. For loving me, even when I didn't deserve it. You always deserved it. You just had to learn to believe that." They kissed under the stars and Maya felt it, that sense of rightness, of being exactly where she belonged, with exactly who she belonged with. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "When something feels right, baby, trust that feeling." This felt right, more right than anything ever had. "I have one more promise for you," Ethan said quietly. "What's that?" "I promise to keep choosing you, every morning when I wake up, every night before I sleep, every moment in between." His voice was steady. "Sure. I promise that no matter how scared I get, I'll always come back to you, always trust you, always believe in us." Maya's tears spilled over. "I promise that too. To choose you, to trust you, to build a life that makes us both brave. To be brave together," Ethan amended. "Yeah, together." They stayed on the dock until the moon rose high, talking and dreaming and planning about the foundation they'd launch, the children they'd raise, the community they'd serve, the love they'd nurture. But mostly, they just sat together in the silence, holding hands and watching starlight dance on water. Maya thought about her journey, about the scared girl who'd overheard a conversation and made a split-second decision to act, about the courage it took to spill that water, to speak up, to keep speaking up even when it cost her everything. She thought about loss and grief and starting over, about learning to trust again after betrayal, about choosing vulnerability even when it felt dangerous. She thought about her mother and the lessons she'd left behind, about doing the right thing even when it's hard, about believing in people, about fighting for what matters, but most of all, She thought about love, real love, the kind that transforms you, the kind that makes you braver and stronger and more yourself than you've ever been, the kind of love that's worth every risk. "What are you thinking about?" Ethan asked, his thumb tracing circles on her hand. Maya smiled. "How lucky I am. How one choice, one moment of courage, changed everything." "You changed everything," Ethan corrected. "Your bravery, your integrity, your refusal to stay silent when you saw something wrong. We changed each other," Maya said. "That's what love does. It transforms us, makes us better versions of ourselves." "Yeah," Ethan agreed softly. "It really does." A shooting star streaked across the sky, bright and brief and beautiful. "Make a wish," Maya said. "I don't need to. Everything I want is right here." Maya's heart swelled. "That's the right answer." They laughed together, the sound carrying across the water. And in that moment, surrounded by stars and held by love, Maya felt it. Complete peace, complete joy, complete trust. This was what her mother had wanted for her. This sense of belonging, this deep, lasting happiness, this love that didn't hurt but healed. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," Ethan replied. "Always." They stayed on the dock until dawn began to paint the sky pink and gold. A new day, a new beginning, a new chapter in their story. But really it was the same story it had always been. A story about courage, about choosing love over fear, about trusting when trust feels impossible, about believing that people are worth fighting for, even when they make mistakes. A story about finding home in another person, about building a life on honesty and vulnerability and grace. A story about a waitress who saved a millionaire's life and found her own in the process. As the sun rose over the lake, painting everything in shades of hope, Maya and Ethan walked hand in hand back to their house, to their life, to their future, together, always together. And that, Maya thought as she squeezed Ethan's hand and stepped into the golden morning light, was the greatest love story of all, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. The end.